Ahoy! Welcome to my ship. Today is January 19th, 2026, 9:30 a.m. And we're going to go over the Law 441.530, Home and Community-Based Settings. I'm going to read them all. That way we'll have them up there. I'm going to make this a little bigger so I don't have to wear my glasses. 441.530, Home and Community-Based Setting. A. States must make available attendant services and supports in a home and community-based setting consistent with both paragraphs A1 and A2 of this section. A1. Home and community-based settings must have all the following qualities and such other qualities as the Secretary determines to be appropriate, based on the needs of the individual as indicated in their person-centered plan. The setting is integrated in and supports full access of individuals receiving Medicaid HCBS to the greater community, including opportunities to seek employment and work in a competitive integrated settings, engage in the community life, control personal resources, and receive services in the community to the same degree of access as individuals not receiving Medicaid HCBS. I'm guessing that's where they're getting the, it's okay to go to strip clubs. It's not appropriate for everybody. Double I. We have some I's and V's things. Okay. The setting is selected by the individual from among setting options, including non-disability specific settings and an option for a private unit in a residential setting. The setting options are identified and documented in the person-centered service plan and are based on the individual's need, preferences, and for oh my God, laws are hard to read. The setting is selected by the individual from among setting options, including non-disability specific settings and an option for private unit in a residential setting. The setting options are identified and documented in the person-centered service plan and are based on the individual's needs, preferences, and for residential settings, resources available for room and board. Okay, triple I. Ensures an individual's rights of privacy, dignity, and respect, and freedom from coercion and restraint. Oh my God, it's right there in the thing. Freedom from coercion. Hola. Okay. IV. Optimizes but does not regiment individual initiative, autonomy, and independence in making life choices, including but not limited to daily activities, physical environment, and with whom to interact. V. Facilitates individual choice regarding services and supports and who provides them. VI. In a provider-owned or controlled residential setting, in addition to the above qualities at paragraphs A1 through I through V of this section, the following additional conditions must be met. A. The unit or dwelling is a specific physical place that can be owned, rented, or occupied under a legally enforceable agreement by the individual receiving services, and the individual has, at a minimum, the same responsibilities and protections from eviction that tenants have under landlord-tenant law of the state, county, city, or other designated entity. For settings in which landlord-tenant laws do not apply, the state must ensure that a lease, residency agreement, or other form of written agreement will be in place for each participant, and that the document provides protections that address eviction processes and appeals comparable to those provided under the jurisdiction's landlord-tenant law. Oh, I'm still excited about that part up there. The coercion part. Okay, B. Each individual has privacy in their sleeping or living unit. 1. Units have entrance doors lockable by the individual, with only appropriate staff having keys to doors as needed. 2. Individuals sharing units have a choice of roommates in that setting. 3. Individuals have the freedom to furnish and decorate their sleeping or living units within the lease or other agreement. C. Individuals have the freedom and support to control their own schedules and activities, and have access to food at any time. D. Individuals are able to have visitors of their choosing at any time. E. The setting is physically accessible to the individual. F. Any modification of the additional conditions under paragraphs A1, BI, A through D of this section must be supported by specific assessed need and justified in the person-centered service plan. The following requirements must be documented in the person-centered service plan. Identify a specific and individualized assessed need. 2. Document the positive interventions and supports used prior to any modifications to the person-centered service plan. 3. Document less intrusive methods of meeting the need that have been tried but did not work. 4. Include a clear description of the condition that is directly proportionate to the specific assessed need. 5. Include regulation, collection, and review of data to measure the ongoing effectiveness of the modification. 6. Include established time limits for periodic reviews to determine if the modification is still necessary or can be terminated. 7. Include the informed consent of the individual. 8. Include an assurance that the interventions and supports will cause no harm to the individual. Oh, I'm learning a lot. Did they even really, I don't know that they've even read this law. I never read this law. Well, I have since this started, but before that I didn't. I mean, I thought people had common sense. 2. Home and community-based settings do not include the following: a nursing facility, an institution for mental disease, an intermediate care facility for individuals with intellectual disabilities, a hospital providing long-term care services, or any other location that have qualities of an institutional setting, as determined by the Secretary. Any setting that is located in a building that is also a publicly or privately operated facility that provides inpatient institutional treatment, or in a building on the grounds of or immediately adjacent to a public institution, or any other setting that has the effect of isolating individuals receiving Medicaid HCBS from the broader community of individuals not receiving Medicaid HCBS, will be presumed to be a setting that has the qualities of an institution, unless the Secretary determines through heightened scrutiny based on information presented by the state or other parties that the setting does not have the qualities of an institution, and that the setting does have the qualities of a home and community-based setting. And that's it. That's that. All right, let's go look at the other one. The other one is 441.530. Oh, and I got these laws directly off the letter sent to my representative that the laws I should look into. So I'm looking into them. Okay. All right, let's go to, maybe just put it in there. This is our person-centered service plan. We're going to go over that too. Person-centered planning process. The person-centered planning process is driven by the individual. The process, 1, includes people chosen by the individual. 2, provides necessary information and support to ensure that the individual directs the process to the maximum extent possible, and is enabled to make informed choices and decisions. 3. Is timely and occurs at times and locations of convenience to the individual. 4. Reflects cultural considerations of the individual. 5. Includes strategies for solving conflict or disagreement within the process, including clear conflict of interest guidelines for all planning participants. I guess in my case, that's getting guardianship. 6. Offers choices to the individual regarding the services and supports they receive and from whom. 7. Includes a method for the individual to request updates to the plan. 8. Records the alternative home and community-based settings that were considered by the individual. B. Person-centered service plan. The person-centered service plan must reflect the services and supports that are important for the individual to meet the needs identified through an assessment of functional need, as well as what is important to the individual with regard to preferences for the delivery of such services and supports. Conversate with the level of need of the individual and the scope of services and supports available under Community First Choice. The plan must Oh, I think you referred to some of this in that letter too. It sounds familiar. 1. Reflect the setting in which the individual resides as chosen by the individual. 2. Reflect the individual's strengths and preferences. 3. Reflect clinical and support needs as identified through an assessment of functional need. 4. Include individually identified goals and desired outcomes. 5. Reflect the services and supports paid and unpaid that will assist the individual to achieve identified goals and the providers of those services and supports, including natural supports. That's me, mothers, families. Natural supports cannot supplant needed paid services unless the natural supports are unpaid supports that are provided voluntarily to the individual in lieu of an attendant. Well, I don't even know what that means, but from the other stuff I've been reading, I'm considered a natural support. I do lots of things for my son that I'm not paid for. I am also his paid care provider, and I'm very thankful for that. That is a good part of the program. But you need to clean up the laws of what people think they can do with that kind of a thing, you know? 6. Reflect risk factors and measures in place to minimize them, including individualized backup plans. I wonder what they have for their backup plan if the strip club thing goes downhill. 7. Be understandable to the individual receiving services and supports, and the individual's 7. Be understandable to the individual receiving services and supports, and the individual's important in supporting him or her. That again would be me. 8. Identify the individual and or entity responsible for monitoring the plan. 9. Be finalized and agreed to in writing by the individual and signed by all individuals and providers responsible for its implementation. 10. Be distributed to the individual and other peoples involved in the plan. 11. Incorporate the service plan requirements for the self-directed model with service budget at 441.550 when applicable. I have no idea what that means. 12. Prevent the provision of unnecessary or inappropriate care. Well, that fits us. 13. Other requirements as determined by the Secretary. Was it the Secretary of State that kind of lays out the law? I'm not sure. C. Reviewing person-centered service plan. The state must ensure that the person-centered service plan for every individual is reviewed and revised as appropriate based upon the reassessment of functional need at least every 12 months. When the individual's circumstances or needs change significantly, and at the request of the individual. States must adhere to the requirements of 441.301 C3, except that the reference to Section 1915C of the Act are instead references to Section 1915K of the Act. So, there we go. I read it, and I do believe there are things in there that shows that I am in the right. They're not reading the law properly. What do you guys think? Specifically, number 10 here, other people involved in the plan. I don't really know what that means. Number 7, be understandable to the individuals receiving services and supports and the individuals important in supporting him or her. They're not taking any of that into account. They think that they've just got these people, these intellectually delayed people. The world is their oyster. When my son was going, before the older lady quit, I thought she'd quit because of the strip club incident. Apparently not. After she found out that they called the cops on me and cops didn't do, and I called the cops on them and the cops were on their side, she was back over there gallivanting with them the next day. In any case, I forgot what I was going to say. It's gone. So, yeah. So we went over the laws. There's definitely things in there that say that the family should have some input. And they cannot just, shut us down. They're not going to shut me down. This is my kid. Something has gone terribly, terribly wrong. Catastrophic failure. And all the people paid big, big money. They're not paying attention. I'm paying attention. And I'm going to put a stop to all of it. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk on my pirate ship. Have a great day.